when the foot's gone.
They've been utilizing the organs of black people for years, the organs and the body parts and the members of African American people, and that goes back to George Washington. There's a long time myth that George Washington had wooden teeth. We've heard that myth growing up in school. The reality is George Washington did not have wooden teeth because common sense will tell you you can't put wood in your mouth, it gets wet, and wet wood is useless. What George Washington did, he had the teeth of his African slaves yanked out of their mouths, and he made dentures out of these teeth, and they're on display. His dentures are on display in museums right now. And that just goes to show the history of African people having our bodies mutilated and our members disfigured and mutilated for the betterment and benefit of the dominant society. In America, at least 2,500 black people go missing every year. At least. Never to be found again. Not killed enough. You just don't find them again. Why doesn't that number ever go down? How can you constantly have the same amount of people? Are you trying to say the same killers go out and murder the same amount of people every year? No. Somebody is taking black people off the street. There's been stories on this. Kidnapped by the government. Kidnapped by organ traffickers.
Drive-by shootings is organ stealing.
I'm worth $50 million and I need a kidney. And you know, kidneys are pretty sensitive. You gotta find somebody who really got the kidney that matches yours. You think I'm gonna wait till somebody die for me to get one? If I don't get one soon, I'ma die. So guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna pay somebody to go research people. Okay, let's go look at all the black organ donors. Let's look at all the black people who got organ donor on their driver's license, which is why I'm not a friend of that. I say, if you wanna donate your organs, put it in your will. Say that if I die, this could go to my family, my relatives, my friends, or whomever. But when you put it on your license, I believe you make yourself a public target. And so what did they find? We got a guy in Los Angeles. He has the same blood type as you, same kidney type as you likely. He healthy though, he ain't likely to die no time soon. He don't know you, so he ain't gonna give you no organ for free. So guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna arrange a murder that makes it look like he was in a car accident. We're gonna arrange a murder that makes it look like he committed suicide. So the next thing you know, you coming out the gas station, boom, you get hit by a Mack truck, you dead, gone. You get taken to the funeral home, your family come to the funeral, they don't know that before your body got laid to rest, a little hole was poked and they pulled your kidney out. A lot of people don't know, when you get arrested or even when you get convicted, a lot of times law enforcement or police will swab your mouth for DNA. And now they have your DNA record on file, they have your genetic information on file. And you have to understand, with law enforcement, a lot of times they'll sell your information to tabloids and, like, especially celebrities, they sell their information to tabloids and magazines and news outlets all the time. So it's not a stretch to believe that they won't use your DNA or your genetic information for nefarious reasons.
You, my son. Cops come by and inform me you just been shot dead. You don't have jurisdiction over that body. That's the coroner. You can't get that body till the coroner release you. So we get released, we go down and pick it up, and I see all these cuts and these stitches. I just thought they was doing a routine investigation, following the band. I know they took your organs. I'm under all this stress. My son is dead. Now you buried now. I can't dig you up because the court got the information. Most of those cases is organs.
What happened to this teenage boy walking through this school gym? He's captured here on surveillance camera, then disappears until...
Come to the lounge lights going out. There's a dead body out here.
17-year-old Kendrick Johnson was found upside down in a rolled gym mat last January. Investigators say he was reaching for a shoe, got stuck, and died.
We have found nothing to indicate this was anything other than just a tragic accident.
You could tell he was beaten.
Kendrick's parents believe the story about the shoe is a cover-up, and they question why sheriff's investigators either did not collect or test potential evidence from the scene.
Got some questions about the Kendrick Johnson case.
I'm not going to discuss that with you.
Why not, sir?
Because our case is closed.
Kendrick's body was exhumed. His parents paid for an independent autopsy, and the pathologist found evidence of apparent non-accidental blunt force trauma to the neck. But it's also what the pathologist did not find that shocked the family.
Organs, the heart, lungs, liver,
etc., were not with the body.
What was in the place of the organs?
Newspaper.
Well, Victor Blackwell joins me now from Atlanta. So Kendrick Johnson's family exhumed their son's body, trying to get some answers about his death, only learned his organs were missing. I don't understand how the state investigation doesn't offer any explanations. I mean, somebody removed this young man's organs. The body was also stuffed with newspaper. So, I mean, again, somebody's lying. Either somebody who did the original autopsy didn't include the organs in the body, or there's someone at the funeral home did something with the organs and stuffed it with newspaper. I mean, somebody's not telling the truth.
It's been known for a long time, even back in slavery times, that black organs were considered superior genetically to other folks' organs. For example, whenever there's a transplant, okay, especially when rich folks get heart transplant, liver transplant, kidney transplant, they like white, they like black organs. We had a famous case in Pennsylvania, Governor Casey, who was one of the most racist governors who ever lived back in the late 80s, early 90s. He had a heart transplant. Guess whose heart they gave him? A black person's heart.
Down in Georgia, there was a case of an African-American 17-year-old kid who was found mysteriously dead at school. He died in the gym. They did an autopsy and they buried him. His family, they weren't satisfied with the results because they still wanted to know what happened to their son. They had the body exhumed, found out that his organs were missing and his body was stuffed with newspapers, and people are still trying to find answers. The officials down there in Georgia, they act like they don't know what's going on. There was another case out here in California. A young African-American man was found dead in Death Valley in the desert. All of his organs were missing. His liver, heart, lungs, kidneys, all gone. There's a case in the UK recently. A Somalian girl was brought over there for organ harvesting. They found out that they were going to harvest her organs and they stopped that. There was another case in Asian couples. They went over to Africa. They adopted a black girl. 2 weeks later, she was dead. So these cases of organ harvesting are just going on all over the world, and people are being real quiet about it.
The Rodney King riots. The cops arrested 18,213 black folks. They couldn't account for 10,000 of them.
That's what happened in New Orleans. Remember when you saw those helicopters? They were picking up all them black babies and taking them up in a helicopter. And my husband and I sit there and said, we wouldn't have sent our son with them. I don't care who they was. We'd all died in the water together. We wouldn't have sent our baby up there. And they never got a bunch of those children back, as we all know.
Organ harvesting in Africa, it's a bit.
They were picking up all them black babies and taking them up in a helicopter. And my husband and I sit there and said, we wouldn't have sent our son with them. I don't care who they was. We'd all died in the water together. We wouldn't have sent our baby up there. And they never got a bunch of those children back, as we all know.
Organ harvesting in Africa, it's a business. In fact, they've set up so many sophisticated places around the so-called third world where there are nations like France, England, New Zealand, Israel. All these places now are looking in the impoverished areas because mostly in these impoverished areas like Brazil, places in South Africa, right here on this continent, wherever there's poverty, there's crime. And wherever there's crime, you know there's a lot of deaths and there's a lot of shooting.
They are killing black people for their organs. Think about it. Organs are the only commodity that people must have to live that you cannot buy in a store. So if I am sick and I need a heart, I can't buy that. And we know all the problems with the fake hearts. Now, they can give a pacemaker to a bad heart. But what about when the heart needs to be replaced? You gotta find a match. And it ain't none on the donor list. And I'm worth $50 million. And I could care less about black people anyway. Guess what? Somebody gonna get shot in their drive-by.
Switch over to Haiti. Jean Bellerive, at the time, he was the prime minister. At the time when Haiti was hit with that earthquake that killed over 130,000 brothers and sisters down there in that island. They had a report on CNN with Jean Bellerive, and he said specifically that there was organ harvesting and child kidnapping going on.
And we have already reports of a lot of trafficking, even of organ trafficking.
Of organ trafficking? Yeah.
Now, already.
Of the victims of the earthquake?
Yeah. So,
do you know that for sure?
Yeah, I know that for sure, and it was discussed in Montreal during the conference.
If you live in Los Angeles and you want to adopt a black child, why not get one from Los Angeles? You have every age, every skin color, every hair type, whatever you want, it's here. Because black kids are not being adopted by black people. But instead, You want to go all the way to Ethiopia and get one. You want to go all the way to Haiti and get one after the earthquake. You want to go all the way to the Middle East and get one. And East Africa and a Middle Eastern country, I believe, are the two top countries for international adoption. Why? Because they have poor supervision and tracking processes. Once you get a baby from Ethiopia, and as we know, Ethiopia is one of the poorest countries on the continent. Once you get a baby from Ethiopia and bring them back to America, the Ethiopian government and their adoption agencies really don't have the technology or the resources to follow up and see what you're doing with that child. In fact, I've read articles on it where they say that after about 6 months, we never hear from the child again or the person who adopted.
Now we got this youngster, Kendrick Johnson, 17-year-old black child, found dead in high school gym and stuck between some athletic equipment. Then we find out that all his organs is gone. Okay? The sheriff and all the folks down there, the natural causes. Now you got an undertaker and call, I know you're not being back, but you need to check this out. The undertaker, this happened in Georgia, Valdosta, Georgia. The undertaker that was brought in to deal with the body is the same undertaker from Miami that was used to deal with Trayvon Martin. Now you're gonna tell me, as close as Atlanta is with black undertaker, you're gonna call all the way to Florida and have a black undertaker come up and then they exhume the body, because people was asking serious questions, and found out his body was stuffed with newspaper. The black undertaker from Miami didn't know that, and he must be part of it. Okay? Now
he's the same one who did Trayvon, right?
The same one that did Trayvon. And I've always suspected something was wrong with Trayvon, because it's not been for you and black radio, we would have never heard of him, because he laid in the morgue as a John Doe. Okay? Case would have been closed. And so now what we're looking at now, the body's been exhumed, and we find out that all his organs was gone. I've been trying to tell y'all that, and I keep telling you, you don't hear it. That the drive-by shootings, most of them is body organ stealing, okay? We go back to and it's been reported, but ain't nobody listening, because it seems so awesome. But if you Google a New York Times story, July the 24th, 2009, 44 charged by U.S. in Jersey corruption sweep, and they talking about stealing organs. And so
some of you all have no idea of what cloning is about. You can't comprehend or muster what I'm getting ready to tell you. Okay? So enjoy the ride. So some of y'all think cloning only exists in the entertainment world. That's not true. It has nothing to do with the industry. Why is cloning is needed? They started the cloning process in 1945. One of the reasons they killed JFK, because JFK decided we didn't need to clone humans. And they said, come on, Jay, stop BSing. And they saw that he was serious. It was two reasons why they killed JFK. He was against Vietnam. He felt like it was a useless war. And he found out that what they were cloning people, he wanted to expose the Illuminati. And he said, damn it, it's time for him to go. And of course, he was a white guy. You don't think the reptile is real? The reptile is very real. You don't think lizards from the demigods exist? The only way that these demigods can live, they have to get into human format, because their life as reptiles is only so long. They have to be able to be in a human format to live for a long time. And once they get in a human format, they clone that human over and over again. Did y'all know that Gaddafi is not dead? He was cloned? I'm going to lay it on you, because a lot of y'all think you want to hear some good stuff, but sometimes y'all just want entertainment. I'm not entertainment. I'm going to give it to you from the hip. Farrakhan is chipped. He got the same chipping process as Gaddafi. And I wouldn't be surprised if they clone Farrakhan and kill the real Farrakhan. And y'all probably say, well, yeah, that don't make sense. Why would they want to kill Farrakhan and keep because they want to work his mind? The man is very intelligent. See, a lot of times they want to keep you alive just to pimp your brain. And when they put you under hypnosis and MLK and they can chip you, you totally submissive to them. Do you know when they put a chip in your body that they can go all the way back 30, 40 years and you can tell them things that you didn't want to tell them? This is how powerful their technology is. And by the way, white men are not that damn smart. Neither are these Jewish men. They're getting all this from the demigods, Satan, fallen angels. The Lord gave Satan who? Earth. The land been given to the hand of the wicked. Who is the wicked? Satan. Satan have many employers out there. Cloning is one. Reptiles is another. They live in you. And most of these creatures that live in human bodies are reptiles. But once they become of human, they can stay in that human body for a very long time. But if that human body were to get crashed or killed, which they wouldn't because they got powers, don't get it twisted. Okay? But if they did, they have about 5 more lined up. The first cloning may take, I think when they first clone a human being, it takes 3 to 6 months. Maybe sometimes a year, depending on the technology. But usually, with the technology they got, between 6 to 7 months to clone a human being. They need their tissues, their brain cells and all that. They'll clone a human. Okay? After that first human is cloned, they can clone you every hour thereafter. So if they want to make 20 of you, they could. If they want to make 10 of you, they could. When you saw Saddam Hussein, that was not the real Saddam Hussein. He did not die like that. Okay? They didn't have no need for Saddam. He got rid of Saddam in the early 90s, but they was using his clones to have fun with you, to be amused. That was real Saddam, but he acted just like him. I got some more news for you. Michael Jackson is not dead. Michael clone is dead, but Michael Jackson is not dead. Michael Jackson doesn't look anything the way he did. The slim Michael Jackson, because they know that's what y'all like. The Michael Jackson that y'all saw dancing with James Brown, that was a clone. They had to keep fixing on it because the clone was breaking down. He wasn't going into surgeries. See, clones also can't gain weight. So basically what they did, they had to keep doctoring on the clone of Michael who was alive. The one that was dancing with Michael, or the dance with James Brown. Okay, that Michael Jackson, that wasn't the real Michael. Matter of fact, when they cloned it, Michael, that clones don't grow hair. So in other words, however they clone you, whatever you have, that's how you're going to come out. That's just how the clone produce. So in other words, if you're a person that have long hair, how they clone you, that's how the clone going to look. When they cloned Michael Jackson, his hair was never attached because the first Michael Jackson that was cloned, his head was 3rd to 4th degree burn in Pepsi commercial. He lost half his head. I mean, it wasn't gone, but it was very badly burned. Michael Jackson looked like a monster. Okay, and he was still slim. So they cloned him while he was under the knife. And when they cloned him, they needed 2 years to remake him because he